All right, Chief Meteorologist Isaac Williams here. The entire weather department is here watching the weather closely. We are re-entering your programming for a new tornado warning that's been issued for Oktibbeha, Clay, and Lowndes counties. These are some of the same areas that were under the gun earlier tonight. Right now we're looking at a very high chance of a developing tornado near Craig Springs, moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. These storms moving a little faster than the ones earlier. This is going to be moving right towards Starkville and right toward the campus of Mississippi State University. They were missed for the last couple storms, but this clearly is moving towards Starkville, and it's also moving potentially toward Columbus. Tornado sirens sounding again. We're probably hearing those in downtown right now, as well as up to the Air Force Base. Again, this is a relatively large tornado warning, and it goes until 11:15, so that's an hour from now, basically. And again, right now, we've been watching this storm in the past 5 minutes. It has really tightened itself up, and we are looking at what's called, I'll take the shear lock off, and this right here is called a bounded weak echo region, and that is just another indication that a tornado is developing. And this is right on Highway 25 as we speak. So down Starkville, out of Starkville, of course, you've got the prison and some of the farmlands out here. We've got the horse park south of town there as well. And this tornado circulation is going to be moving and crossing Highway 25 a few miles south of Starkville. Again, the west side of town here, of course, the Walmart's right here. Everything from the Walmart eastward toward Mississippi State campus. I want you getting into your shelter right now. Again, students still with us at Mississippi State. Finals about to start soon, so hopefully they are getting the warning and doing what they need to do to get themselves into shelter as well. Again, everybody in downtown Starkville. Also, Oktok, once again, under the gun for a potential tornado. Again, this storm is really wrapped up, and you can see that the chance of a tornado is, you can see the couplet there is very well pronounced, and I will actually query the winds right in through here, and we're looking at about 85 to 90 mile per hour winds just a few miles south of Starkville, west of Oktok, moving north and east. So again, this looks like it might split the difference between Oktok and Starkville, which means MSU's campus is right there. So it's just a few miles southwest of campus, moving to the north and east. I know you guys here, Briley, Jackson, and Dylan, have some classmates, so I'd love to hear from them if we can to see what they're seeing from campus. But otherwise, we're looking at this storm kind of getting its act together and moving to the north and east. Now, for Lowndes County, we're hearing tornado sirens in places like Artesia and Penn, some of the same spots that were hit by a tornado earlier. Again, even Steens is in this tornado warning, and I'm imagining that anxiety is extremely high right now in Lowndes County, if nothing else. Now, the storm is still in Oktibbeha County, but if it holds together, it could wind up affecting places like Artesia and maybe downtown Columbus. That is the reason here that we are going to stay with you for the next hour or until the storm weakens, strengthens, whatever the storm does. The official tornado warning goes until 11:15 this evening for that possible tornado near Craig Springs, very close to Highway 25, a few miles southwest of Starkville, again moving to the north and east, again at 55 miles per hour. There are also other strengthening storms in Calhoun County back into the Delta, and we'll watch those closely, but as long as these storms are ahead of the developing line of storms, they have potential to produce a possible tornado and possible rotation. And that's what we're seeing right now, is that the storm is sort of wrapping itself up just a bit. We continue to have, decent circulation crossing over Highway 25 right now. So again, zooming back in, I want to show you some street level mapping here. That's Highway 25, and then we have over to the east, here's Oktok and Robinson Road again, and Pike Road. That's where some of the strongest winds are heading. Again, these might miss the south side of Starkville by a mile or two, but I still want everybody, Starkville, MSU campus, sheltered out toward the Lowndes County line. This has been something that's been developing really since eastern Attala County, and it has gotten closer to this boundary that continues to sort of be laid upon the Golden Triangle region, and I think that storm got close enough to that boundary, ingested some extra wind shear, and here we are with another tornado warning that is moving through portions there of southern Oktibbeha County. Right now in Starkville proper, we've got maybe some small hail, heavy rain, some lightning, but the tornado part of the storm is a few miles south of town, moving northeast. Again, heads up for Artesia, heads up for US 45 alternate. That would be the next major highway that this particular storm is going to affect. And Ashley and Jackson are in the Weather Center this evening. I want to pitch it over to those guys, and they're watching things closely as well on how this storm is progressing throughout the evening. Guys?
Yes, Isaac. Well, as you mentioned, I mean, this storm is making its way very, very close to Mississippi State's campus, and in fact, it's passing, just south of that campus region, places like Heritage Colony, Blackjack, Sessoms, Artesia. Those places are on the horizon. Heritage Colony right now, I mean, you're right on top of it. So if you're not already in shelter, you need to be potentially putting on some sort of head protection or something like that. But again, this storm is very, very dangerous, and we've seen it tightening. We've been monitoring it for a while now, and we've been tracking it, and it's moving very, very quickly off to the northeast. Now, thankfully, I would say the big positive here is that it's not going through downtown at the moment, which I think is great news there. It is kind of a little bit further south, but still there's a lot of campus housing that's a little bit closer, further south here. I know Briley mentioned Clayton Village as an area of interest, but a lot of these places you're going to be wanting to get into shelters soon. And we haven't seen any kind of debris signature yet, so I think that's a good sign there. But again, this thing can and will drop, could at any time or relatively soon, and it can do so very, very quickly. So, something to watch out for. Oktok, another place where you should be sheltering in place. This thing is moving off to the northeast, and I think Dylan has an update over there at the desk.
Yeah, you can toss to me. I'll talk about it here for a minute. Starkville proper, Mississippi State's campus, you're in the tornado warning. This is a serious situation. You need to be in your tornado safe place right now. So here's the storm, obviously. You don't need me to tell you that. Here's the tornado warning polygon. It's a really big polygon, but right now our immediate concern is for Oktok, which is right here, and downtown Starkville. So Starkville here, Oktok here. It looks like the center of circulation back in the back end of the storm is going to split the difference between Oktok and Starkville. So if you live on the south side of Starkville, this rotation is going to be passing extremely close to you. I know Mississippi State's campus sits kind of on the southeast side of Starkville, kind of in this area. Clayton Village is also around here, kind of where US 82 dips down and takes that sharp curve right here. You're in the path of this storm as well. Artesia as well. Even over here toward 45 alternate and the western side of, it's okay, Isaac, the western side of Oktibbeha County, this storm's moving in this general direction. So social campus, campus trails, the new apartments that are being built down there, what's over there? The Highlands, that new apartment complex over there off of Blackjack Road on the southeast side of Starkville, Oktok Road that runs from Starkville down to Oktok, like if you're going out to the Noxubee National Wildlife Refuge. Along that road and all the other roads, Montgomery down on the south side of Starkville, you need to be in your tornado safe place now. Isaac, do you mind checking the velocity just to see what the rotation looks like on this storm? Yeah, it's still a fairly well-defined tight couplet down here just to the south of Starkville, and it's moving off in this general direction. So it's gonna be a close call with Mississippi State's campus on the southeast side of Starkville right here. It's going to pass very, very close. This storm could produce a tornado at any moment, so we want to treat it as such and take this seriously. Get to a bathroom on a bathroom, for example, but a room on the lowest floor of a site-built structure, preferably the site-built structure you're in right now in Starkville, since the storm is getting extremely close to you. And you want to be away from windows, the most interior room possible. You need to do that right now because this storm is basically moving overhead. Within the next 5 to 10 minutes, it will be moving across the southeast side of Starkville, possibly producing a tornado. We see some lightning starting to increase in the main body of this thunderstorm, which can sometimes mean that the storm is strengthening. I've got maps pulled up here: Oktok, Sessom, Starkville, Mississippi State, Clayton Village, Artesia, Penns. Let's see, Dogwood Connection, Starkville Interiors down there, the Oktok Fire Station, East Poorhouse Road, Octok Road, Mount Olive Road, Pike Road, Robinson Road, Blocker Road, Bartlett Road, Bethel Road. These are some roads that we've called out before. This is not the first storm to take this path, and we hope a tornado does not touch down. But that being said, this storm looks strong. It looks like it may produce a tornado at any point. It looks like the rotation right now is passing just south of downtown Starkville and Mississippi State's campus. It's going to continue to move off to the north and east. This warning is in effect until 11:15 p.m. The storm's moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. So that's fair. That's quick. Let's be honest here. That's quick. It's faster than other storms have moved earlier today. So as this storm comes up on the southeast side of Starkville toward Artesia, it's right here right now. But if you live in Artesia, you need to be in your tornado safe place now, because in a matter of moments, this storm traveling at 55 miles per hour like you would down a 2-lane back road here in Mississippi, that's how fast this storm's moving. Coming right toward Artesia and eventually crossing US 82 somewhere near the 45 alternate and 82 interchange. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Interchange right there. One last thing, I'm going to toss it back over to Isaac Williams here in just a minute, but the East Mississippi Community College Starkville campus, right off of US 82, and the big curve is also right over here in the path of this storm, so that's something to watch as well. I'll send it back over to Isaac.
Yeah, Dylan, appreciate it. Again, as you mentioned, the strongest part of the storm is south and east of Starkville by just a couple of miles. And I mentioned this when the core of the storm moved over town. We did get a report from Lindsay. She's the practicum meteorology coordinator at Mississippi State, and at least pea-sized hail, and that would be about the largest that she saw, which is good news because we started the day with some pretty large hailstones. And right now, this again is a wind and tornado concern for eastern Oktibbeha County, just north of Octok, out here, again, close to EMCC, and then ultimately close to the GTR airport, which sits about right there, right before you get to the 45 alternate exit. So this is going to be a situation where this storm is going to see how it does. It's moving over an area that has been worked over, but I just stepped outside about 20 minutes ago, and it's still quite muggy and humid and gross outside. And we still got temperatures near 70. The dew points are in the mid-60s. And obviously, we still have enough energy for something like this to happen. We've got portions of Lowndes and Clay counties in this tornado warning as well. I'll step off screen here and just kind of show you that really we're looking at more of a straight line wind threat, it looks like, at the moment. And some of these winds could be kind of high, maybe 70 miles per hour or a little greater than that. And all of that's moving, again, close to Octok and then toward Artesia Road, and then, of course, the town of Artesia just across the state line. So that's where the pockets of stronger wind are currently located. Again, this broad tornado warning polygon, which does include, again, downtown Columbus, Caledonia, the Air Force Base, so really Columbus Metro, is all in this tornado warning that, again, goes until 11:15. Now, right now, we're not looking at any tornado debris signatures that have popped up, which is good. But this storm is cyclic, and it could happen again. And speaking of which, before we pitch it back over to the rest of the weather team, I do want to pass along some golf ball-sized hail reported with this new severe thunderstorm warning. Ashley and Jackson are watching that. Dylan watching things closely as well. So again, we'll kind of get just updates from around the room. We will start with everybody. Look, there we all are.
Hey, everybody. So, go over to Jackson and Ashley in the Weather Center first.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do a cell track on that real quick as it's continuing to push off to the northeast at that 55 mile per hour mark. We are going to see that shift its way. It's about there, say, and 55.
It's about 55 right there.
Well,
that's all right.
Work. Let's try it again. Take two.
Take two.
All right, so we've got Artesia at 10:37, Phillips at 10:41, GTR Airport also 10:41, Waverly at 10:50, and the WCBI station at 10:52. So it's never fun when we are in that. We take two for the night on that, guys. So let's make sure this one at least bypasses us once again.
I would also note that, it looks like it's weakened just a little bit, but remember, guys, these cells, they can and will kind of pulse in and out of strength. Right now, we've seen kind of a little bit of a weakening of that couplet, but like we've seen earlier in this period, during this night, we've seen lots and lots of cells that have done the same thing where they've just kind of tracked and tracked and tracked, and they've spun, they've kind of broadened, they've tightened, and then they've dropped tornadoes kind of north of Columbus and south of Columbus. So would not be surprised to see a lot of the same with this cell as well. So just something to keep into note. Also, it's moving quickly. Dylan pointed that out. Just because it's moving quickly doesn't mean you should expect it to not impact you. Again, it can spin up just as quickly as it weakens. Even though it's moving quickly doesn't mean it'll move out of your area before it potentially spins up again. So something to pay attention there as well. Another point, dropping lots and lots of rain. It's still a straight line wind threat, as Isaac mentioned. So it's just not a good situation out there. So regardless, no matter how you spin this, it's a dangerous situation, and you need to be in shelter. And I think Dylan has some points to point out.
That's right. Kind of piggybacking off what Jackson said. Jackson made some great points. Here's our storm of concern, what prompted the tornado warning. It's now moved, the circulation's moved off to the east of Starkville. We can't give you the all clear just yet. Still lots of dangerous weather moving through the area. But this is the main storm. And I think as it was moving up into Starkville, it started interacting with this cell back over here. So they had some interactions and maybe weakened a little bit since those storms were interacting. We didn't see quite as tight a couplet after the tornado warning was issued as opposed to when it was first issued. But still, lots of rotation. We see a lot of lightning strikes with this initial storm. This one's kind of taken over. They interacted at first just south of Starkville. And then now this one's kind of breaking off and becoming the more dominant storm. So this would lead me to believe that it's a real possibility. This storm right here, even though right now it may not look all that impressive, it might look more messy on radar. Again, the tornado warning still includes parts of Clay and Lowndes County, including Columbus. So as this storm moves further towards the east, it could very well strengthen again and possibly produce tornadoes. So we need to stay on guard. I'm going to pitch it back over to Chief Meteorologist Isaac Williams.
I appreciate it, Dylan. Our newsroom confirming from Lowndes County Sheriff that there is a report of a funnel cloud off of US 45 alternate and Canal Road, very close to the city or town of Artesia. So that would be right where we were kind of identifying some of the strongest winds and potential rotation. And now we have a law enforcement confirmed funnel cloud in progress on US 45 alternate near Canal Road, near Artesia. Again, a funnel is obviously a rotating column of air that's not quite in touch with the ground, and that is obviously a reason that the tornado warning is likely going to be maintained, in that a funnel can drop and become a tornado in a matter of seconds. And hopefully that doesn't happen, but we mentioned this, all of us, we've seen this all day and night, where the storms look good, they weaken, they restructure, and then they get themselves back together and maybe produce a tornado again. And this looked really good, and by good, I mean not good. Southwest of Starkville had a really great structure, then it weakened just a bit, and again, now we've got that law enforcement confirmed funnel cloud near Canal Road, which again is just north there of Artesia. And again, a very messy look here to velocity. And even reflectivity, but I would imagine that this dot of red right there would be where the possible funnel is located from Lowndes County Sheriff's deputies. Again, this is 45 alternate right here. This is Highway 182 coming out of Starkville, and that's Highway 82. So, obviously, nobody needs to be driving on US 82 as well as 182 or 45 anytime soon. I'm actually going to pull up, once again, our Columbus Skycam, and obviously blurry, and now we're looking south and west here. Regardless, we've seen an uptick in lightning with this storm, so that obviously means it's likely strengthening. And this is, again, another camera that we likely caught at the very least. We looked back and looked at a screenshot of somebody actually sent us a screenshot of our own coverage with at least a funnel that we captured from this camera hours ago with the Steens tornado. Right now we're focusing on, again, almost constant lightning. This is what it's looking like in Columbus. Again, there's no imminent concerns for a tornado in downtown Columbus, but again, we are having said that, here's downtown Columbus, and here is where a funnel cloud has been spotted by Lowndes County deputies just a few moments ago. So, assuming that Artesia or just north of there, 45 is where the possible tornado is, it's moving north and east. And so again, on that track, it's going to be close to downtown Columbus and north to the Air Force Base. So again, this is round number, I don't even know at this point. It seems like Lowndes County, this is I think number 3, that this is coming in from the south and west. So again, from north of Artesia, down US 82 to Columbus, up to the Air Force Base, you need to be in your safe place. Again, we're well acquainted with that safe place by now. Interior closet, hallway, bathroom, lowest floor, basement, or safe room if you have one. And again, it's a very messy storm. Weather Service is commenting on that, but obviously there's still enough wind shear to cause at least a concern for a brief spin-up tornado. And hopefully that funnel that we had a few minutes ago has lifted and is no longer a threat here. But again, we don't know that for sure. It's nighttime, and we're going to have a hard time seeing things. But again, we sure appreciate the Lowndes County Sheriff's deputies for looking out there as this storm continues to move to the north and east. Again, our shear rate is one of the better ways to look at this. And again, it's highlighting that potential a few miles northeast of Artesia. And again, generally speaking here, moving up toward Highway 82 west of Columbus, and also looking at closer to the Clay County line. I hadn't talked about Clay County much, but southeastern Clay County is in the tornado warning, just basically from West Point east to the Lowndes County line. So that's something to pay attention to as well. And Jackson's over in the Weather Center watching the storm and the shear swath, and basically looking at the history of the rotation as it moved back through the southern part of Starkville. Jackson?
Thank you, Isaac. Yeah, I'd like to point out that we have the shear swath right here, which we've been tracking. And if we actually kind of zoom out just a little bit, you can see the history of this storm kind of started out around Kosciuszko, made its way off to the northeast, and you really start to see the intensification of that shear rate right around here, right getting south of Starkville, continues all the way to just about north of Artesia, and then you start to see a little bit of that weakening there, and that's kind of what we're left with when we jump to the velocity north of Artesia. So again, very, very fast mover. It's been moving at about 55 miles per hour. Many of the storms we've had today have moved at about that speed. So fortunately, as quickly as they're getting here, they are getting out of the region. So that's fantastic news for a lot of you folks. In fact, pretty much a lot of us, where this started, if we get down a little bit down south here, Octok, Craig Springs, Bradley, getting down to Heritage Colony, Longview, you guys are pretty much in the clear for this tornado warning. Now, a few of us, further north in the east, Stephen, Arrington's Peak, Columbus, Bent Oak, you still want to shelter. I mean, this isn't necessarily right now the strongest rotational signature, which again, another great thing right there. We just got a new scan in, but you can see it right here. It's still there, not very strong, but still there. And again, it can also re-strengthen just as quickly as it weakens. So we've seen a lot of this pattern here, and I think Dylan has some more information at the desk.
Yes, I've got some more information over here. I'll talk about this storm for a little bit. Jackson, could you pull up our Columbus Skycam and point it towards this storm as it approaches Columbus?
Yeah.
Our studio's right here, and we have a camera on the top, and we can point it back toward this storm, and we might have a good look with the lightning at some of the cloud bases to see what's going on. But really right in here, just along and south near the GTR Regional Airport is where our main area of concern would be for a tornadic circulation. See that red tornado polygon, tornado warning polygon includes southeastern Clay, and much of Lowndes County, including the Air Force Base, Caledonia, New Hope, and Columbus. So this circulation, again, broad, and it's somewhat disorganized right now, but as we've learned many times today, we cannot let our guard down. These storms can race up. Okay, let's go back over to Jackson at the desk, or in the Weather Center. He's got to look at that Columbus Skycam, see what we're seeing right now, Jackson.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dylan. Well, first of all, I mean, tons of lightning right now, practically nonstop at this point, which, again, a sign of just how powerful this storm is, despite the fact that the rotation has kind of weakened over the past few scans. The fact that there's such intense lightning, number one, indicates that it's a very strong storm. It can easily intensify once again. When we're tracking these storms, when we see upticks in lightning, very often that's a sign that we're going to start to see upticks in rotational strength and the like and whatnot. So just something to watch out for. And I mean, look at these flashes. We're getting so many flashes, probably more than one every second at this point. So a very dangerous storm regardless of whether it has a tornado or not. Remember, folks, lightning is a killer as well. So be safe, be inside, make sure you're inside during this storm. I mean, this is crazy out here, the amount of lightning that we're getting off of the storm, and we've seen a lot of the same as we get through the rest of our night. So again, folks, it's just severe thunderstorm situation. You don't want to be outside right now. You don't even want to be stepping outside to take a peek at what's going on. I wouldn't even get close to a window to do that, because these storms are very severe. They're violent. They're bringing very strong winds to much of our viewing area. They're bringing, heavy downpours, which, by the way, flash flood warning in effect for places just north of Starkville. So that's just something to watch out for. And I'll actually pull that up real quick because remember, we have a flash flood warning that's in effect until 2 a.m. this morning, and that goes all the way from Winona through Eupora, through West Point, all the way to the Alabama border. So we're getting that heavy rain. We are getting heavy lightning. We're getting strong winds to go along with that. And really, this storm has despite what's happened with this rotational couplet, the fact that it's not very strong anymore, it's still posing quite a few hazards that we're dealing with right now. And remember, folks, these rotational couplets, they can spin up just as quickly as they fizzle out. And this might not be the last one. So don't say, hey, this thing has moved on, it made its way out of the region, I'm going to relax now, because, folks, we've got several more hours to go before I feel that we're going to be fully in the clear on this one. And there's many more storms that likely could make their way through the region. Do exactly the same thing, spinning up. Just a few hours ago, we had a tornado warning in Starkville. And we had, I think this is probably the third or fourth tornado warning this night in Oktibbeha County. So, again, folks, not quite over yet. And I think Isaac has more updates at the wall. Isaac?
Appreciate it, Jackson. And again, the storm that we're watching, obviously kind of moving into northwestern Lowndes, southeastern Clay County or Waverly. This is a few miles northwest of downtown Columbus. Just in the last few minutes, it looks like it might be in the process of trying to reorganize just a bit. And then we're also watching this thing in Pickens County, waiting to see if Birmingham does anything with that. Obviously, we've got some rotation a little east of Aliceville. And then finally, the storm kind of hooking back into the Starkville region is showing some signs of stronger wind. So 3 storms we're watching. Really, every storm tonight and all day we've had to watch because of the amount of instability, moisture, and wind shear that we have in place across the region for November around here. Kind of a rare setup that we've had today. That's the reason that the level 4 moderate risk was in effect today. But right now, the main cause for concern, again, is this tornado-warned storm that, again, might be trying to get some weak rotation getting there basically on the Lowndes and Clay County lines. Again, it's not very pronounced. We've obviously got a lot of strong winds kind of coming into downtown Columbus. And we also have some pretty strong winds back southwest of Starkville. And then finally, over here into Pickens County, there's obviously at least some degree of rotation south of Carrollton, east of Aliceville, moving northeast as well. So again, nothing that is producing a debris signature or a confirmed tornado. That's some good news. I also don't want to forget about our folks up here in Prentiss and Tishomingo counties. There is a severe thunderstorm warning up here for you folks up here in far northern Itawamba, southern Prentiss, southern Tishomingo for a pretty strong line of gusty storms moving where all of those counties kind of come together. We had a report of some larger hail actually in portions of Lee County near Baldwin of golf ball size hail. That's from law enforcement too. That's from the same storm back in northern Lee County. Now that's moved east. But that just goes to show that, again, even our friends in far northeast Mississippi that have really sort of dodged the main tornado threat today are still getting some severe weather. So right now, again, the reason we're still here with you at 10:47 this evening with team weather coverage is, again, a tornado warning that, again, is maybe sort of reorganizing. Again, the velocity or the reflectivity, I should say, is very messy. But this would be where a weak circulation is trying to form. This is just a couple of miles northwest of Columbus. Again, I don't see anything that's especially tight or especially worrisome in terms of a new tornado that's trying to form. But obviously, we've got the warning that's in place, and we're going to continue to watch things closely in case something does try to form. Again, I mentioned we've got a tail of strong winds from Columbus back to the south and west that is obviously gusty, potentially producing gusts up to 60 miles per hour or higher. And we are continuing to see a shear axis rather than a specific area of rotation. That's what I was kind of alluding to. That just goes to show that the tornado threat may not be especially high, which is good, but we are still seeing, some weak rotation just northwest of downtown Columbus. So again, tornado warning continues until 11:15, but there's no discernible tight areas of rotation at the moment. Again, which is good news. And we're also, again, watching that storm back in Pickens County. Again, no formal warning there either. But again, it's just almost like, when is this going to end? And good news is that we finally are out of severe weather warnings in the Delta and back in northwestern Mississippi. It does look like that this line from Tupelo back to Greenville is going to be our final push of severe weather potential. And hopefully this is over by 2 a.m. That's when the tornado watch expires, is 2 a.m. I think that we can officially clear us up by then, but until then, we have warnings that are still in effect. And the Weather Service is commenting again that the old mesocyclone, our parent meso, is just north and west of downtown Columbus, again, which is right here. Again, the faint red colors showing up would be where a rotation is still probably aloft, but still something to watch closely. And again, they're going to maintain this warning. And so again, here's Columbus, here's US 45, that's Highway 50, that's Mississippi 373 that goes up to the Air Force Base. And again, there is at least weak rotation still in progress here as we look here from north and west from downtown Columbus. This is moving north and east, again, almost at highway-type speeds, 50 to 55 miles per hour. That's Mississippi Highway 12 that runs out to Steens. Yes, you are in another tornado warning. Yes, there is damage from a tornado earlier tonight in this exact spot. Now, again, hopefully this storm continues to look broad and does not tighten back up, because the last thing we need is another tornado up in Lowndes County. So looks like we had a little bit of a radar data issue there. It'll be resolved probably on the next scan. Otherwise, that is the main item of concern on the board here this evening is for northern Lowndes County. Birmingham office not commenting on whether or not we're going to see any sort of issuance for warning in Pickens. Also going back to Baldwin up here, looks like we've got some delayed reports of power lines down on Highway 370 east of Baldwin from that same storm that's in Tishomingo County now. So that storm, severe thunderstorm warning, it's produced large hail and now confirmed spotty wind damage back in Baldwin in Lee County. That warning's been canceled for Lee. It's still in progress for Itawamba and northern Itawamba and southern Tishomingo County until the top of the hour. Looks like they have reconfigured the tornado watch again, maybe for areas farther south and east. But again, our watch goes until 2 a.m. as I mentioned, and I think by then our tornado threat will be kind of winding down, hopefully. But again, we still see evidence of at least weak storm rotation just north of downtown Columbus. And again, this is going to be out 45 and Military Road once again. We've got Blue Cut Road right here, and that's Mississippi Highway coming out here, 12 running north and east, and then Mississippi Highway 50 and 69 that curls down, going down out of southeast Columbus. So again, everybody from Steens northward to Caledonia, back to the Air Force Base in downtown Columbus. As a course of least regret, again, these storms, we have seen how fast they can go from this to something certainly more problematic in a matter of 3 or 4 minutes. It does not take long with the environment that we have today to get something more substantial to form. And hopefully nothing else wraps up here, but this is something that obviously we're going to continue to watch. The Weather Service in Jackson hanging on to this tornado warning, again, until 11:15. Now, hopefully it is canceled before the expiration time there, but we can't guarantee that. And until that warning is canceled, we're going to continue to stay with you this evening. But again, I don't see any huge concerns for a tornado, but obviously we still have some sort of convergence going on here just north of Columbus. We've got winds flowing toward the radar and winds flowing away from the radar, and there's still some weak circulation trying to spin up just north of Columbus. And again, if we track this out, again, that's Highway 12, that's Steens Road right there. And again, this circulation, although it's elevated, is literally going to come right over the same spot that was hit by a tornado earlier. Again, I hope and pray this stays aloft and does not continue tightening up in any way. The last thing, again, we need is more damage out and through here. But again, Highway 12, Steens Road, Woodlawn, you've got at least weak circulation right there, but nothing indicating that a tornado is in progress. I want to reemphasize that enough, and can't emphasize that enough, is that we are not looking at something that is imminently producing a tornado. But having said that, the Weather Service continues a tornado warning for Lowndes County until, again, 11:15. And again, until that warning is canceled, we're going to continue to watch it very closely. We also are watching a new and weak circulation and small circulation south of Columbus. This little guy right here, south of town, has got some pretty strong inflow right here to the tune of about 70 miles per hour. And so that's something to watch closely as well. Cell mergers, cell combinations basically sometimes can weaken storms. Sometimes they can give them the extra push to start to strengthen again. So we're in kind of a wait and see mode. It really is the best way I can describe this storm. We're kind of just waiting and seeing if it is going to strengthen or not. Right at the moment, it has not shown signs that it has strengthened much, which is good. We hope it continues behaving, but we can't necessarily guarantee that just a bit. So that's something that we will that we'll continue to monitor closely. Again, I am watching, again, that area of rotation very close to Steens. Again, it is still aloft, but it is something nonetheless that we should continue to watch closely. And there's that surge of wind I mentioned south of town, that brighter green right there, obviously, hopefully is aloft as well, but it's something to watch. Again, still up here, there is some weak turning of the winds, now pressing north and east of Columbus, out Highway 12, between New Hope and Caledonia. It's getting closer to the Alabama state line. And so we will see if the Weather Service in Birmingham is going to continue over into Lamar and Pickens. My inclination is maybe not, but nonetheless, they'll have to make a decision here soon. Dylan and Briley at the desk. I want to pitch it over to Dylan. Briley's not mic'd up. We're going to watch over to Dylan, and we're continuing to watch, this storm and how it is still trying to spin back up just a bit.
Shane, can you leave us in the double box real quick? I want to go back and forth with Isaac for just a second. Looking at this radar image, Isaac, I know we're watching this potential broad weak circulation over here just north of Columbus, maybe a little bit of a wind surge to the south. Yes. But over here in the Weather Center, we're also noticing a bit of broad rotation on the southeast side of Starkville, kind of on the backside of this original system. There were kind of two storms in that region, so we're seeing some broad rotation on the south side of Starkville. And of course it's good because they're still included in that tornado warning polygon, so you should still be sheltered. I have some friends, of course, on Mississippi State's campus. They're reporting everything went really calm before this area of broad rotation moved through, and then the rain, the wind, everything really picked up in the blink of an eye. Got really severe really quick. So what are your thoughts on that as far as its location with the other storms and what we might be seeing here with the velocity data?
I think that we're still seeing kind of strong winds being pulled in. And again, because we still have veering of the wind with altitude, it's not going to take much to get some of that spin into really rotation. So that's something to watch closely. Same thing I was watching in southern Lowndes County. It's the same sort of idea in that southern stronger winds are starting to push in just a little bit. The latest update from the National Weather Service has a possible tornado. Again, I want to emphasize a possible tornado near Steens. So again, here is Steens Road. There's Highway 12. There's Woodlawn. That's the site of damage from earlier storms. We've got a broad circulation over the top of that same area. It's now moving east at 60 miles per hour. So it has picked up its pace just a bit, and it is going to be out of Lowndes County and into Lamar and Pickens here in a matter of just a few minutes because it has picked up its forward speed. I will, before I pitch it back to Dylan, I do want to check our Columbus Skycam because I can hear it pouring out in here. And so this is the view in downtown Columbus right now. Obviously, the weather has gone downhill pretty rapidly, and we've got some pretty heavy rain, some lightning, but the possible tornado is once again north of town up into portions of the Steens area. Again, if you're just joining us and you're hearing Steens again, it is for a possible tornado in the northern part of Lowndes County. That does not mean that something is confirmed. We don't see any debris being lofted like we did earlier, which is good news. But again, we have to take these storms seriously. I just want to take a peek outside because it is absolutely raining buckets out there for sure for Monroe County. So Ashley passing that along, a new severe thunderstorm warning for Monroe County. That goes until 11:45. Perfect. So Monroe County, severe thunderstorm warning for this line of storms near Okolona, also eastern Chickasaw County. Again, the entire Monroe County area will be under the gun for some large hail and damaging wind. Now, the tornado threat should stay south of Monroe County, but nonetheless, another warning in effect for our viewing area, again, for you folks out in Monroe County. Again, this is the possible tornado circulation. Again, it does not look like it's producing a tornado. I want to reemphasize that again, given that it is moving over an area that most definitely produced a tornado from earlier tonight. And again, that same part of the storm is going to be moving very close to the Lamar County line in a matter of just a few more minutes. And again, the rotation is trying. It's there, and it is continuing to try and wrap up just a bit. Now, hopefully it does not complete that process because, again, we don't need that, but we're going to be on guard and be watching for it. And you can see this line of heaviest wind has shifted east toward East Columbus. And then as you make your way out toward the New Hope exit off of US 82, the last one before you get to the Alabama line, and then northward up into portions of areas just near Steens over to the Alabama state line. That's where the best chance of strong winds and possibly a brief spin-up tornado will be as things continue to shift off to the east again at about 60 or so miles an hour, and that was scary thunder. Dylan?
Very, very loud thunder.
Yes.
The loudest lightning strike and clap of thunder that, probably the closest lightning strike that we've had all day. Isaac, I know you're driving for me. Can you zoom out just a little bit and put up the shear rate product?
Oh, yes.
There's a lot going on right now. The radar is extremely messy. It's an extremely messy situation. Here, just on moving through the eastern part of the city limits of Columbus, a ton of thunder and lightning. I mean, I'm sure through our microphones you heard that big clap of thunder we just had. And this signature on our Barron wind shear rate product looks more like a damaging wind gust threat at the moment. But as Isaac mentioned, this storm in this broad area of rotation is really trying to tighten up just on the northeast side of Columbus near Steens, unfortunately where they've already sustained tornado damage from earlier this evening. Keeping our fingers crossed that nothing happens and this stays elevated, excuse me, and that this doesn't produce any more damage and does not touch down, which right now, the good news is it doesn't look like that's the case. We are seeing a lot of lightning up here in the northeastern part of Lowndes County near Caledonia and Steens. Lots of lightning strikes. And again, this will be pushing into parts of West Alabama, maybe far northwestern Pickens County, and then definitely into Lamar County in West Alabama, especially toward the Millport and Kennedy areas. Again, this moving off to the east-northeast. At this time, back here, we still have this tornado warning in effect, but for right now, we don't see any prominent areas of rotation that would give us the indication, oh, wow, we need to look at that really quick because there could seriously be a tornado on the ground. We're not seeing that, which, of course, is good news, but as Isaac turns reflectivity data product back on here, it's extremely messy. Good news is this second broad circulation, we were kind of monitoring back towards Starkville and along US or Highway 82. Not a concern really anymore. It's broadened out. does not look as nearly as impressive. The good news is all of this rotation really seems to be trending down, and I think it's interacted with this boundary we've been talking about, possibly some cool air getting sucked into these storms. But I do know we have that severe thunderstorm warning back over here for Monroe County, Smithville, Amory, Aberdeen. Strong damaging wind gusts possible, maybe up to 60 miles per hour. Lots of thunder, lightning, heavy rain moving through there, even though there's not a tornado threat at the time. We still have to stay on guard till this final line of storms pushes through. I'm going to send it back over to Chief Meteorologist Isaac Williams at the wall.
Thanks, Dylan. Just want to do a quick reset here. It's just past 11 o'clock here. You're watching WCBI TV, Columbus, Starkville, Tupelo. Our continuing coverage once again this evening of severe weather moving across North Mississippi. Right now, the only active tornado warning really is for Lowndes County, Mississippi, and it's for a possible rotational signature getting close to the state line. The Weather Service in Birmingham has told us they are not going to extend the warning into Lamar and Pickens County at the moment, which that is some good news. But back to the south and west, as Dylan mentioned, we've got a flash flood warning all the way back to Winona as additional storms are continuing to move in from the west. So I just want to do a quick reset as we get past the 11 o'clock hour here. But Jackson, the Weather Center, an active sky cam from downtown Columbus behind you, Jackson, and we've got some pretty nasty storms here and around the region.
Yeah, Isaac. In fact, just a few moments ago, this is Court Square Tower right here. I don't know if you can see it very well, but just a few moments ago, it was very hard to see it at all. That's how heavy the rain is with this storm that's been moving just to the north and to the east of Columbus. And obviously, there is a huge amount of lightning activity associated with this storm. So very violent indeed. Dylan made some very cogent points about that as well, just in terms of, the rotation associated with this storm and what we're all dealing with. But one of the things I'd actually like to point out when it comes to the storms themselves is, we're watching this area of rotation by Columbus, the area of Columbus itself, near Caledonia and whatnot. But we also have this line of storms coming in from the north in the west. And as that comes in through, Isaac mentioned a little bit earlier ago that you can get sometimes these storms, they will converge and you'll get a little bit of a spin up there. You'll get a little bit of a boost that can help these storms get to where they need to go in terms of just forming. So that'll be something to watch as we kind of get through the next half an hour into the next hour as these storms start to merge together to see if we get any kind of spin-up activity right here along this line, because that'll be something to watch, because a lot of these storms now moving off into Alabama, which, by the way, places like Pickens County, places like Vernon, they got their tornado warning or tornado watch extended until 6 a.m. So it's going to be a little bit longer for you folks in western Alabama, just based on the speed of how everything has been moving through this region. So, and we'll be keeping you updated on that as always, but just something to note right here as this storm makes its way on through. Isaac also pointed out that, once this squall line kind of makes its way on through, if you want to call it that, we'll pretty much be in the clear. There's a few lone cells in the background, kind of in the back there, that could add some more rain to the mix. But really, this is the last hurrah for pretty much our night here. And then we have that cold front all the way in the back that's going to make its way on through. And I'm actually going to pull up the sky cam back in really quickly, because we're getting tons of lightning activity right here in the background. Actually, I was looking at that was the Vernon sky cam, my bad, but we're still getting lots of lightning activity here in Vernon, Alabama. And I might actually pull up the Vernon sky cam.
The northern part of that initial storm is moving through, so there's a lot of activity going on right there.
Yeah, so if I could actually pull up the Vernon sky cam here, and we can see if I can do that. Yeah, check this out right here. It is dumping by the bucket right now in Vernon, western Alabama. This is a storm system that's just made its way off from Columbus. This is the storm that we were tracking that was tornado warned. It's not tornado warned right now, but just a massive amount of lightning associated with this storm. So you do not want to be outside right now. I want to reiterate that. In addition to this heavy rain, strong winds accompanying it. So Lots of violence in the atmosphere, lots and lots of lightning activity, and you know, as this moves on, there's still some storms in the back as well. So I'll go back to the map view so we can take a look at all of our radars as well, because remember, we had not just that one area of interest for rotation. We were also watching that area in Starkville as well that was actually dropping a little bit. That had a little bit of a rotational couplet earlier. So
and I have an update on that, Jackson.
Okay, yeah, let's just toss to Dylan. I think he has an update on that.
Yeah, if you can put both of us in the box.
There you go.
We'll talk
Keep it
back
box
and
to
forth.
box.
Yeah, so I was talking with the meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Jackson. It was a little bit of a suspicious signature just because it wasn't very well defined, and we wouldn't expect something to be right there in the rain-cooled air. And they agree that it's probably just a data anomaly with the velocity because the pixels were much higher in a low signal area. So there may be some broad elevated spin there, but really, you know, you and I can agree, nothing at this time to raise an eyebrow or worry us.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, so as we continue to watch things move into Vernon, that is kind of where the worst of the weather is, and there's no tornado warning for Vernon, and the Weather Service in Birmingham has indicated they're not going to extend this warning over into Lamar County. So what we'll probably do is just ride this tornado warning until it expires 11:15, and then we will determine what to do from there, because we still have active weather moving through the region. We're past primetime programming, so we'll see. But right now, I do want to point out that down to the south. Now, we probably will not have to deal with this storm per se, but this is in Smith County, Mississippi, so this is south and east of Jackson. They are going to go with a confirmed tornado warning here for Smith County, is that it is a likely TDS here for Smith County, and that goes until 11:45. So again, likely to not have to deal with this, but again, it's moving northeast. So again, how much northward component of motion here? Again, I think this will stay south of the region, but nonetheless, we still have active storms even for Leake County. Up here near Carthage, we've got some pretty noisy storms that are likely to work their way up into Louisville, and these could go into rotation at any time. This is all in advance of this line. So basically, anything in advance of this developing line up here is in an environment that is still capable of producing a quick tornado. Now, hopefully, you know, you would think at some point the atmosphere's got to run out of gas, right? At some point, it has to stop raining and storming. We'll get there eventually, but at the moment, this line of storms is continuing to cause not only some flood concerns, but also as long as it is, you know, moving fairly slowly and we get any of these individual storms out ahead of it, those are going to continue to pose at least a small threat for a spin-up tornado as they kind of continue to move slowly out ahead of the line. Again, I'm going to pull up the Vernon camera back behind me and just continue to kind of stand and watch this together. This is in Vernon, West Alabama, Lamar County, Durham's Pharmacy. We're looking south, and really it doesn't matter what direction we're looking at in Vernon. It's raining in 360 degrees from this camera location. Constant lightning, really nasty storms out there, but again, not a tornado setup in Lamar County.
We do have a flash flooding report, Isaac, that I'm going to get to in just a minute, so don't toss it back to regular programming just yet. Our Scott Martin sending in some reports and images of that in Monroe County. So here just shortly, I'll let you know, Shane, we can take that and show those images in just a minute.
Appreciate it. Yeah, Scott burning the midnight oil like everybody else.
Yes.
So he's also watching my dog. Shout out to
Thank you, Scott.
For watching my dog this evening. So constant lightning out there in Vernon, and we're going to continue to watch that camera with great interest, but not because of a severe weather concern per se, but just because the weather's nasty out there. This is storm number 3 or 4 for you guys as well in West Alabama. As Dylan mentioned, the tornado watch continues for several more hours. And again, we're not seeing any concerns at the moment for imminent tornado development. So that's some good news. This flashing red hopefully will go away for Columbus very, very soon. And I just got the updated maroon alert for Starkville that the campus has been removed from the warning here. So that's some good news. All of the active weather is shifting a little bit north of Starkville and away from Starkville at the moment. But as Dylan mentioned, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Monroe County, and we've got some pretty strong winds up here from between Amory and Smithville. That's the Natchez Trace Parkway and Highway 25 that comes in here towards Smithville. And we've got some pretty strong indications of some high winds rolling through northern Monroe County, and that's something that we will obviously pay attention to shortly. Now, not necessarily from a tornado standpoint, but from a straight line wind standpoint. Again, doesn't really matter how the trees fall, if they do fall, or if the power lines come down. This is a straight line wind, though, situation. We're kind of seeing a same signature in Lamar County, south of Vernon, kind of like the last storm that tracked over the same exact area. It's moving right over the same spots again. So between Alabama's highways 18 and 96, we've got some pretty gusty winds ongoing in Lamar County, and then we have some pretty strong winds up here east of Amory making their way toward Smithville. In fact, I'll take you for a closer look into Monroe County, and again, from Hatley to Smithville, it's on you right now, and it's going to continue to move over here to the Alabama state line. That's Lamar County. Now, Detroit and Sulligent, we hadn't called you out tonight much because you haven't had any major threatening weather. But if this line of storms continues over into northern Lamar County, then you'll have some gusty winds, damaging winds even potentially as that line, and if that line holds together off to the east of its current position, which right now is from Smithville down to Aberdeen. It's moving to the east at about 50 or so miles per hour, and it's for mainly damaging winds. We could have a little hail in there, but it really, at this point, I'm looking at damaging winds. Another thing to point out about this line, and you've heard us talk about this before, anytime you go from nothing on the radar to an extremely strong color or bright color, in this case, that indicates, again, damaging wind potential. We call that basically just a reflectivity gradient. We're going from a lot to not a lot over a very short space. And that's just basically tells us as meteorologists that the damaging wind potential is quite elevated with this storm system as it moves closer. And again, the GWX radar sits right here. And again, hopefully no funny business happens with this line of storms. We have seen it countless times. It gets closer to the radar site and something spinny starts to happen. We're not looking at that at the moment, but I wouldn't put anything past this storm system in general. We obviously are seeing a surge in the winds east of Smithville as they make their way over closer to the Alabama state line / the Lamar County line. Dylan, looks like you want to take the Viper source full.
Yeah, Shane, can we take that full? This is an image coming from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office where a bridge used to be on Wolf Road near Reeves Circle in Monroe County. And this is washed out. As you can see, completely washed out. It looks like a full-size pickup truck was taken off the road. I'm not sure what happened there, but with these storms, repetitive rounds of heavy rain moving through, flash flooding is also a concern. This is in Monroe County. Again, it's the bridge on Wolf Road near Reeves Circle, and it is washed out. There looks to be some damage there. A pickup truck got swept away. The culvert is completely washed out. This looks to be pavement in the foreground, maybe even taken downstream with it. So this is a dangerous little scene here, and the Monroe County Sheriff's Office is asking people to please avoid the area. I just want to show you this because our Scott Martin reported this to us, and flash flooding, also a concern tonight as this final line of storms pushes through and kind of dumps some quick and heavy rainfall totals, adding on to what we've already seen today. Flash flooding, localized flash flooding, definitely a possibility. But this coming from Monroe County on Wolf Road near Reeves Circle, Monroe County Sheriff's Office is asking you to please avoid the area. And just if you're out on the roads after this final round of storms and line of storms comes through, after we give you the all clear, again, just use caution. Know that there'll be standing water on the roads. Don't want you to hydroplane. A car crash is just as dangerous and deadly as a tornado. So be safe out there as we start to wind down our severe weather threat. Just be sure to stay safe afterwards as well. Isaac?
Thanks, Dylan, and everyone. Scott, Monroe Law Enforcement, we have excellent partnerships with everyone here. So 11:15, now 16 is upon us, and that's a look at the radar. I'm going to look at an off-source off-camera source really fast. Don't see any other threatening weather in the near term. So with no more active tornado warnings here, we will sort of wrap it up here, but we're going to continue obviously throughout the night. We have a tornado watch in effect. We're not going anywhere, and we're going to continue to watch any of these storms closely. If they get to be super strong, 70, 80 mile per hour winds, something like that. We'll come back on. And of course, if another tornado warning is issued, we will come back and of course join you in your late night programming here on CBS. So for the entire weather team, once again, Chief Meteorologist Isaac Williams here in the Weather Center, watching things closely. We'll update you as needed throughout the night.
This has been a WCBI First Alert Severe Weather Update. Stay connected with the First Alert team online at WCBI.com, on social media, and on your mobile device with the WCBI News app.